Welcome to my channel, The World of Science Fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Asterisk. In a quiet, forgotten valley where broken roads led only to older memories, a small tavern named the Lantern House stood like the last warm ember in a world that often felt too cold. Elias Rowan, the tavern keeper, lived alone in this place, a life of routine, silence, and the same worn wooden tables that had listened to far too many stories. But his own life had no story worth telling, or at least he believed so, until the night everything changed. It was a stormy evening, the kind where the sky cracked open like an angry voice, and the wind dragged heavy branches across the ground. And Elias was locking the back door when he saw a figure collapsed near the wall, barely moving. At first he thought it was a sick traveler, maybe a lost old man, but when he leaned closer, his breath froze in his chest. The creature's skin was pale blue, thin as mist, and its long fingers trembled with a strange weakness. Its eyes, large, reflective, carrying centuries of exhaustion, opened just enough for Elias to see a pain deeper than anything human. He should have screamed or run or called someone, but instead a quiet instinct inside him whispered that this being needed help. So he carried the creature inside, fed it bread and soup, and watched as it ate in slow, shaky movements as though every bite was a battle. Elias didn't know why he felt responsible, but something about the alien's fragile presence pierced a lonely corner of his heart he had forgotten existed. When dawn came, the creature had vanished, leaving only a faint metallic scent and a circular imprint in the dirt, making Elias wonder if he had imagined the whole thing. But the next night the back door opened again, and there it stood, older, quieter, but alive, and without speaking a word, it sat as Elias placed food in front of it. Night after night, the alien came, and night after night, Elias fed him in silence. Slowly he began to understand the alien through gestures, the way it flinched at loud sounds, the way it scanned the sky before entering, the way it clutched its chest as though carrying a grief no one could fully see. And slowly Elias began talking, telling the alien small pieces of his life, how the tavern stood long before he was born, how he lost his parents young, how he stayed because there was nowhere else to go. The alien listened as if every word was precious. But as weeks passed, strange signs appeared in the town. A government van parking too long near the gas station. A man in a suit asking about unusual sightings. A drone passing low over the tavern late at night. The alien grew restless. His hands shook more, and he began arriving later, injured, frightened. One night, when Elias offered warm stew, the alien touched his arm gently. In that moment something impossible happened. Images flashed across Elias's mind like lightning. Cold metal rooms, masked figures, bright lights, needles, cages, screams that never belonged to a human throat. Elias stumbled back, heart pounding, but the alien raised his hands apologetically, as if showing the truth was the only way to explain. Someone was hunting him. Someone dangerous. And they were getting closer. Despite the fear curling inside him, Elias made a silent promise. He would protect his nightly visitor, even if it cost him everything. Their bond grew deeper. The alien, though weak, tried to show thanks through small gestures, straightening chairs, pushing the soup bowl toward Elias as if offering half, and once leaving a small glowing metal shard on the table. Elias kept it safe in a wooden box, sensing it meant more than he could understand. Over time, the alien's life began to feel intertwined with his own, and Elias felt himself waking each day with a strange hope that night would come again. But one evening, the alien arrived nearly collapsing at the doorway. Strange wounds glowed along his skin, and his breath came in sharp, painful bursts. Elias pulled him inside, locking every door in the tavern. Outside, faint engine sounds echoed in the distance, slow, searching, hungry. The alien lifted his trembling hand toward Elias, trying to form a sound, some attempt at speech, but only a strained vibration came through. Elias leaned closer and asked, "Are they coming?" And the alien nodded. He pressed the glowing shard into Elias's palm with urgency, as if saying everything he couldn't speak through that simple action. Elias didn't understand what the shard really was, but he could feel the warmth from it, the pulse, almost like a heartbeat. He held it carefully as the alien grew weaker, barely keeping his eyes open. Dawn had just begun touching the sky when the sound of heavy tires crushing gravel filled the air outside. Elias peeked through the window and saw two matte black SUVs pulling up to the tavern, silent, official, threatening. Two men in black suits stepped out, their faces blank, emotionless, purposeful. Elias rushed back to the alien, who now lay curled against the wall, light fading from his body. The alien touched the shard again, and suddenly his form began dissolving, unraveling into shimmering particles like warm smoke. Elias gasped as the alien's body drifted toward the shard, disappearing into it completely. The shard pulsed once, twice, then settled into a gentle glow. The knocking at the front door grew sharp, precise. Elias hid the shard beneath his shirt, straightened his clothes, and opened the door. The two men stood like shadows carved into human shape. "Mr. Rowan," one said, voice too polite to be real, "we're tracking something unusual, something that passed through this area recently. We need to inspect your property." Elias forced his heartbeat to stay calm as he allowed them inside. They combed through every room, every corner, every cabinet, asking questions with cold, heavy suspicion. Elias answered steadily, even though the shard under his shirt throbbed with warmth, as if the alien inside could sense the danger. One of the agents paused near the back door, the exact spot the alien had entered each night. Elias felt sweat slide down his back. The agent stared for a moment too long, and finally turned away. After nearly an hour, the men stepped outside and gave each other a small nod. "Thank you for your cooperation," the lead agent said, though his voice carried no gratitude. "If you see anything unusual, contact us immediately." Elias only nodded, watching as the SUVs rolled away, disappearing down the empty road like dark warnings swallowed by the horizon. When silence returned, Elias shut the door and leaned against it, breath trembling in relief and terror. With slow hands, he pulled out the shard. It glowed gently alive, safe, resting. Elias whispered into the quiet room, "You're safe now." But even as he said it, a heavy realization settled into his heart. He was no longer just a tavern keeper. He was the keeper of a secret that could change worlds. A being from beyond the stars trusted him hid within the shard, depending on him. Men with power and weapons were searching for it. His life would never be simple again. But for the first time in years, Elias felt purpose. Not the kind that comes from daily chores or repeating days, but the kind that pulls a man into a larger story, a greater destiny. And as he locked the tavern doors that morning, he knew one truth clearly. This was only the beginning. The alien had come to him for a reason, and whether he liked it or not, Elias Rowan was now part of something far bigger than himself, something dangerous, something beautiful, something worth fighting for. If you want to know what happens next in Elias and the alien's journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments if you want part 2. Your support keeps these stories alive.